This is an embarrassing moment for the Russian army as a drone grenade destroys a group of Russian troops and forces them to retreat. Drone footage from the Ukrainian Pentagon unit of the 225th Assault Battalion shows a group of Russian troops hiding in a forest area in the Kursk region. The Russian troops are preparing to launch an attack by loading their mortars and planning to position themselves in this area. Unbeknownst to them, a Ukrainian quadcopter drone flies overhead, and the drone drops a grenade and lands right in between 5 Russian troops. Upon impact, they are all hit by shrapnel, which forces a large number of Russian troops to leave the forest area and flee, leaving their comrades behind. This video is amazing. How with just a drone grenade dropped, the Ukrainians were able to capture several kilometers of territory without endangering their infantry. Over the past 24 hours, there have been 87 battles on the front line, with the heaviest fighting concentrated in the Kursk sector. At the same time, Russia lost 1,330 soldiers, 5 tanks, 26 armored vehicles, and 52 artillery systems, according to Ukrainian media outlets Espresso and Ukrainska Pravda. Another video shared by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense also shows Ukrainian forces ambushing and destroying a large Russian armored convoy in the Donetsk region. Drone footage from the Ukrainian 108th Mountain Assault Battalion separately shows a Russian armored convoy consisting of 2 BMPs, 5 BTR armored personnel carriers, and 1 T-72 tank advancing towards Ukrainian positions around the Pokrovsky district. As the convoy advanced, they unknowingly entered the range of Ukrainian artillery, who immediately launched the first attack and targeted the armored vehicles on the front line. This is a common tactic to stop the advance of the convoy and can also disrupt their formation after causing heavy damage with artillery fire. Ukrainian forces then deployed FPV drones to complete the task by destroying the damaged armored vehicles and a group of Russian troops trying to hide in a trench. The Ukrainian armed forces also shared the moment when a Ukrainian FPV drone attacked Russian troops hiding inside a building. Drone footage from the Ukrainian 108th Mountain Assault Battalion shows a group of 8 Russian soldiers inside an empty building in the Donetsk region. The group appears very tired and probably not equipped. They appear to be retreating from the front lines, as we can also see some of them injured. That is why they decided to hide inside the building and wait for a possible evacuation. After all the Russian troops were placed inside the building, the Ukrainian forces sent an FPV drone to fly towards them. The FPV drone managed to fly through the open door of the building and explode inside. The impact was greater than expected and almost destroyed the building and the Russian troops inside. This was also an epic moment when Russian soldiers surrendered to Ukrainian drone operators. So far, at least one Russian invader has made the right decision and surrendered. The Russians asked the drone operator to have mercy on him and follow the drone. As seen in the video, he threw away his grenades, took off his armor, and continued to follow the Ukrainian FPV drone to surrender. In my opinion, this was the right decision by the soldier, because by surrendering, he automatically remained alive and could be used as a prisoner of war for another exchange. So far, Ukraine has captured more than 150 Russian prisoners of war in several days in a cross-border military operation that a top civilian official said was the first of several stages in taking the fight to Moscow. Oleksiy Drozdenko, the head of the military administration in the Ukrainian city of Sumy, said the offensive was going better than expected. Several videos have emerged of Ukrainians capturing prisoners of war, including on the border in the first hours of the invasion. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Kyiv was increasing an exchange fund to exchange prisoners of war held by Russia. It should be noted that Russian military units fighting on the front lines of the war and deployed to Ukraine are mostly contract soldiers, volunteers, mercenaries, and prisoners who agreed to bear the burden of the war in exchange for their freedom if they survive. Whether due to a manpower shortage or simply miscalculating the risk of attack, Russia decided to deploy conscripts to guard its borders. Some of these conscripts are stationed far from home, but many are locals from the Kursk or Belgorod regions that border Ukraine. Ukraine hopes that these young soldiers will be used as bargaining chips to negotiate new prisoner swaps. Overall, the Kursk operation is our biggest investment in the process of freeing Ukrainian men and women from Russian captivity, Zelensky told diplomats on Monday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also spoke out on Sunday about his ongoing military offensive in Russia's Kursk Oblast, saying his forces were working to create a buffer zone in the region. His comments followed reports earlier in the day that Ukrainian forces had destroyed a second bridge in the Kursk region. The destruction of the bridge over the Seine River near the village of Zvanoy came just 2 days after Ukraine reportedly destroyed another bridge over the Seine River in Kursk's Glushkovsky district. The Ukrainian leader also said that the coming weeks will be very important for our diplomatic efforts with partners in Europe, America, and the Southern Hemisphere. We have expanded and will continue to expand the circle of those who support a just end to this war, Zelensky said, according to the Kyiv Independent. It is very important for Ukraine to enter this autumn stronger than ever. Meanwhile, Russia's advance in Ukraine has stalled everywhere except for Pokrovsk, a major logistics hub. Battlefield maps showed as Ukrainian officials ordered civilians to evacuate the eastern city of Donetsk on Monday. While the Kremlin has significantly reduced its military activity in Ukraine's Donetsk and Luhansk regions since August 16 amid Kyiv's offensive into Russia's Kursk region, President Vladimir Putin has redoubled its attacks on Pokrovsk at the expense of other front lines. A war map published Monday by the Institute for War Studies showed that Russian forces had recently made gains southeast of Pokrovsk and were continuing offensive operations toward the city.